Hey everybody, welcome back to the Offenders Podcast. Once again, I am Kyle. Sitting somewhere not near me today is Evan.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming back. My name's Evan Jones. And sitting to my right, which is somewhere that Kyle is not, is the other half of the rhythm section of Sugar Virus, to which I play drums, Bruiser Braswell, the bass man.
How you doing?
I'm doing alright. How are you doing, Sexy?
Sexy.
That's a pretty good way to be doing.
Hell yeah.
Alright, man. Well, we got a couple stories to talk about today. I think coming off of last week's podcast, which I'm going to have to go out and step on a limb and say that was easily the best podcast we've ever done.
Yeah, totally. Number one.
Yeah, so it'll be hard to top that, but I think Evan's going to kick off the first story for the week.
Okay, so my story hits a little close to home. As everybody knows who listens to this, I love metal and hardcore. And there's been a guy in the news as of late who's been in some trouble. Tim Lambesis, singer of As I Lay Dying, was recently caught telling an undercover detective to kill his wife. There's a little backstory to this, let me tell you. As I Lay Dying, although their name is a little unnerving, is actually a Christian band. But I don't hold that against them.
Is their name a reference to the William Faulkner book, As I Lay Dying?
It certainly is.
Oh, okay.
Well done. Points to Kyle.
Thank you.
But what had happened was, old Timmy Boy had been the singer for the band for a while and started to get into weightlifting. Well, he's always been super into the God thing because he's Christian. That's cool, you know. Positivity wherever you can get it. Well, he starts taking steroids. And he fucking blows up. Boom! Huge! All of a sudden out of nowhere. Well, all of a sudden, I check blabbermouth.net, which is a website where you can get metal news, and I see Tim Lambesis arrested for soliciting undercover detective to kill his wife. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like Mr. Jesus guy. So, what they're saying is he met this guy in the gym who said, "Do you want me to kill your wife?" And he said, "Yes, that's what I want." And then he gave the guy an envelope containing $1,000, pictures of his wife, her address, and the code to get through the gate and the date to kill her. Now, that being said, they're trying to say that steroids is the reason that he caused this murder. But I would like to go back, and I think Mondo knows where I'm going with this, to another point. Steroids are not the sole reason of this murder. Some of you out there who are pro wrestling nerds like myself and Bruiser, I call him Mondo too, by the way, remember a guy named Chris Benoit, Pegasus Kid, if you will, would have been taken to court for murdering his family and leaving Bibles by their bodies, but he killed himself. Now, all I'm saying is both of these men were very religious, and both of them used a lot of steroids. Bruiser, do you have anything to say about this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that, how do you pronounce his last name?
Lambesis.
Mr. Lambesis must be a Baptist, because if he was Methodist, he would have gave that guy at least $3,000 to whack his wife.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not practicing by any means, but I am a good Southern Methodist fellow.
So are you basically saying that Mr. Lambesis
if you're gonna get things
cheap?
done, you got to throw some money around.
Well, this is
Baptist or tightwads.
Well, this is my thing about it. You said like he basically just met this dude in the gym, and the dude's like, "Hey, you want me to kill your wife?" He's like, "Sure, sounds like a deal," and just gave him the money and the pictures and everything. I mean, it just seems like it'd be a setup to me, like right off the bat.
Well, that's all they're releasing right now. Of course, it's like they're saying it's part of gym culture and to
kill people's wives.
Yeah, apparently. So
and people ask why I'm out of shape because I don't have a wife. If I got a wife, I'd be in shape because I don't want somebody to kill her. So I go to the gym to meet him.
The thing is, they're making it up to be like if he wouldn't have gotten into weightlifting and steroids, that he wouldn't have wanted to kill his wife. And maybe they're right, but I'm just saying all signs point to them being half right. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it goes back to that whole, like, people not wanting to accept anything for what it is, and they just want to place blame on something else. It's like this guy, people didn't take guns and kill those kids in Sandy Hook because they were crazy. They did it because video games told them to.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and if that was the case, if video games made you a cold-blooded killer, then I played enough NCAA and Madden that I should be a fucking NFL superstar at this point. But I'm not, because video games don't have anything to fucking do with that. It's because somebody has some kind of mental condition, and roids, on top of like some kind of probably mental condition, just exacerbates the situation.
And I will say this, the band is handling it very, they're being very diplomatic about it. And the whole community, everybody, all of his friends and stuff is like, well, we want to support it, but we don't know what to do. And I'm not going to lie, I love As I Lay Dying. I've seen him in concert a few times. They're a really good band, and his lyrics were really good. But, you know, it's so funny that a guy who would spend so much of his life being positive would just turn into a roid rage guy trying to kill his wife. You know, it's like, something doesn't make sense.
I mean, can anybody speak for his wife? I mean, maybe she is a total bitch. There's like a legitimate reason.
Well, I had heard that there were some issues with the custody of the child, and they are considered estranged.
Oh.
And you know what sucks is they were actually planning on finishing up his third solo album, because he has a side band, which is called Austrian Death Machine, which is nothing but death metal about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Hold on. Are you fucking serious?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Yes.
That's him.
Who has big biceps. It's all swole up.
That's not a joke at all. That's for real. Right. Austrian Death Machine. They even did a Jingle Bells song for Christmas. It was great.
Some sort of correlation. Correlation, maybe.
Whoa. Wait, did Arnold Schwarzenegger? No, he only kissed his help, didn't he?
He had a kid with his help.
But he was huge. He is huge, and he did use steroids.
Did he?
That's a good. Yeah.
Also, while I'm talking, I'd like to say this to the undercover cop that bagged this dude. El Duce just called, and he said, "Stay away from train tracks."
About half the people listening will get that. If you don't get it, just look up El Duce. But the last thing I want to say about it is this. Had he finished his new side project, he was actually planning on changing the name from Austrian Death Machine to As My Wife Lays Dying, if I have anything to say about it.
Holy shit. Well, yeah, I think he's guilty as charged with that line. I mean,
or also in his jail cell, As I Lay Crying might have been the name.
I mean, here's my thing. If you seriously going to name your band that, you've told people you're going to name your band that, and then you try to hire somebody to kill your wife, dude, you're an idiot. I mean, you pretty much have just given everybody enough evidence to, you know, lock your ass up for it. Even if you didn't do it, they're just going to look to you immediately.
See, what I don't like is every time somebody gets nabbed, somebody gets caught doing something, and say they smoke weed, or say they do drugs, or say they do steroids, they want to blame it on the drugs or the steroids or drinking. Why can't they just be like James Brown? About 20 years ago, when James Brown wrecked his car in Augusta, they asked him if he was high, and he said that he was high on God. And I think this Mr. Lambesis, or that's what his last name is, I can't get it right. Yeah. Lambesis, if that's supposed to be the case, why didn't he just say that? You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying he wasn't roid raging, he was God raging.
Here comes we get to use the word correlation again.
Oh man, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like whenever I hear about these people who hire or want to hire somebody to kill like a loved one, you never hear about somebody getting arrested and put on trial for being hired to kill somebody. You always hear about somebody getting caught trying to hire somebody to do it, or somebody getting caught killing somebody else. So I would just think that is just like a surefire way of getting caught, because you never see these people who are like, oh well, yeah, he paid me to do it, and that's why I did it. It's always an undercover cop or FBI agent or somebody who's setting you up to lock your ass away for trying to kill somebody.
That's because they're good at their jobs.
I guess so. I mean, how would you even start? Well, we know why you would start looking at this guy about killing his wife, because, you know, he's basically talking about changing his whole band's name to Killing His Wife. But
that was a joke.
Oh, I thought you were serious. I couldn't
That's
tell.
a great joke, apparently.
Yeah, because I actually never listened to anything by this band. I mean, I've heard of them, but that's about it. I didn't even know they were a Christian band until I saw the article.
If you've never heard As I Lay Dying, I highly recommend looking up on YouTube or some way, just look up the song 94 Hours. It's a great song.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, telling you earlier, like I got a friend of mine, she got 2 free tickets to the Mayhem Fest in Atlanta.
Yes!
And she was like, do you want to go? I'm like, who the hell's even playing? And I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, I know who some of these people are. I guess they'll be okay. Let's go. So.
Little did you know you would be spending the day watching me kick people who I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's pretty awesome.
Mosh.
I'm going to stay away from that because I don't want to be one of these people who's accidentally kicked by somebody else who's thinking, I'm just going to kick some assholes I don't know. I'm usually the guy who stands against the wall at these concerts. Like that time, it was probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And I think it was The Intoxicated. No. It was Pier 6. I'm standing against the wall. Everybody's in the middle moshing. And I'm like, okay, they're over there. I'm cool over here. And suddenly, somebody trips over his own legs, and he comes angling towards me, fists to, like, stop the wall, and I'm standing where he's trying to stop himself, and it's fist right in the dick, as hard as he fucking can. And I'm like, oh, shit. And the next thing I know, Mondo on stage with a thing of beer just throws beer out in the audience, and it goes right in my eye. So now I'm, like, blind with my dick throbbing from this dude just punching me in it as hard as he can, and I'm, like, trying to stumble away and not get kicked or hit again.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, man. After a whole bunch of those Pier 6 shows, my dick was throbbing, and I wish I was blind. I'll just say that. Just for the record.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
You definitely can't say that you were reserved at any of those shows, especially the Intoxicated shows. You lost your shit at a couple.
Yeah, I had some,
You had fun.
yeah, I'm not saying I didn't have fun. I'm just saying that was the last time I got that close to a mosh.
Pardon my interjection here, but I need to let the listeners know that Pier 6 Brawlers, as well as the Intoxicated, were former projects of Bruiser Braswell, a.k.a. Mondo Severe, the man sitting to my right, and nowhere near Kyle.
Indeed.
Good fucking bands, too.
Most definitely. Alright, so, well, that was that. Talking about killing your wife. So we're going to go on to talking about misunderstanding. Or just being stupid. I can't tell which exactly.
What are you talking about?
So, E.W. Jackson, who is a conservative pastor, who has actually never held an elected office, but I think is currently running for an elected office, told people that when one hears the word meditation, it conjures an image of Maharishi Yoga talking about finding a mantra and striving for nirvana. The purpose of such meditation is to empty oneself. Satan is happy to invade the empty vacuum of your soul and possess it. So what he claims is that yoga leads to possession by Satan. So yoga is evil.
May I make the first comment?
Most definitely.
I would just like to say... That's all.
Alright, was there... Okay, fair enough. So everybody who can still hear me after that, sorry for our headphone users.
I don't want to be the guy who does this, but in a small way, I may have to agree with this guy.
All right.
Like we said before, like we've already probably made it known, we're real big wrestling nerds, and there's a guy named Dallas Page that has this yoga program. It's called DDP Yoga. First when he started up, it was called Yoga for Regular Guys, because he takes specific points from traditional yoga and makes it where like the average Joe could do it. Well, there is a guy, old school wrestler, one of my heroes, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
Well, Jake the Snake Roberts was always known for being kind of evil, kind of like sadistic, like a snake.
And strung out on drugs.
Yeah, well, and that too, but that's just that doesn't matter right now.
Okay.
It's a work, brother. It's a work. But he's had his ups and downs. But recently, he got hooked up with DDP. He's been doing this yoga, and it has turned his life around completely. Yes, Jake the Snake Roberts, the son of the devil, has been completely transformed through the yoga. So maybe, just maybe, it has something to do with Satan.
So wait, are you saying it's the opposite, though? Like, yoga gets the Satan out of you?
No, it makes you more Satan-er.
Okay.
More Sataner.
That's right.
Well,
You've heard it here first, people. More Sataner.
this is my problem with this whole argument. Is it seems like somebody's trying to, like, hate on something else. And I've never done yoga. I know people who have done yoga. And
It's fucking tough.
yeah. I mean, it looks like it's tough seeing what people do. But there's one thing that comes from yoga, to me, that is more important than whatever, like, exercise or health issues it brings.
Hot girls bending over.
Close. I was going to say yoga pants.
Yes!
And this, now, hear me out. Okay, so I'm a teaching assistant in undergraduate classes at the University of Georgia. And sometimes it's really hard to get up at 8 a.m. and have the drive to go in and instruct in these courses. Especially when most of the students don't give a shit. But these hot girls walking in there early in the morning wearing those yoga pants, that gives me the drive I need. So yoga is helping me. I'm not doing it, but it's helping me by creating these pants that these women wear that gives me the drive to do what I need to do to further America.
So you go to UGA, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that brings in a whole new term of being between the hedges then, huh? You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Well, it's an old reference to Sanford Field because at the football stadium where the Georgia Bulldogs play at Sanford Field,
Okay.
they're near the goalpost. They're hedges. So when they are playing football or something, they
Keep
say,
explaining the joke. It gets funnier near the end.
Yeah, dude, it's getting awesomer as we speak.
Just keep going.
But so when they have a football game, they're going to drive between the hedges.
Yeah.
So, hedges, bush, blah blah blah.
Okay. I get it.
Yoga pants.
Yeah.
Now, but forgive me, I am not really too knowledgeable on the yoga pants, but speaking of bushes, are they so tight that you can see if there is indeed a bush within the pants? Or is it super compression? I guess
it'd be like super compression. I mean, you really wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, for the most part. And I'm pretty sure that most of them, anyways, are probably taking care of business down there, if I'd have to put it that way.
I can't really say much about that since I'm a happily unmarried man with an awesome girlfriend. But I can say this. I work in mall retail, and it's a lot more funner, if you will, seeing girls come in yoga pants than seeing girls come in those freaking sleep pants. Like the ones that have, like, I don't know if we can say this, but ones that have, like, I'll just say candy bars. Like candy bars and football teams and SpongeBob's and shit like that.
They're the I don't give a fuck about my life anymore pants.
Right.
The girls come in those too. Like it always cracks me up. Like in the beginning of the semester, especially in fall, like you can tell like the freshmen because they'll come in and like at 8 a.m. they're like guys are wearing like suits, they're looking nice. Women have like on makeup, and I'm like they're dressed to impress. 3 weeks into the semester, though, they're all wearing, like, either yoga pants or don't give a shit pants or, like, rolling out of bed with their hair still fucked up in rollers, not caring anymore. So I always love to see, like, the change over the course of, like, the beginning of the semester from the freshmen trying to look amazing to the freshmen no longer giving a fuck because they know it doesn't matter.
Man,
but yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm going to say, though, I think the best thing to come out of yoga is yoga pants. And if this son of a bitch wants to try to do away with that, I will campaign against him. I don't even know where he's from. Probably somewhere in the South.
Yoga is awesome. The thought process that created yoga was awesome, and this guy is just obviously an asshole looking for something else to complain about or some other enemy other than himself who is the true enemy. Ooh, got deep in a minute.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's somebody who doesn't they don't understand really what yoga is, and so they want to basically hate on it because they don't understand. But at the same time, if you want to say that like yoga leads to possession by Satan, what the hell is all these people who like start talking in tongues and rolling around on the floor and doing the abadabbas and shit at these like churches? I mean, who the hell? How do you know that it's God possessing you and not Satan or whatever?
Mondo, you were the son of a preacher man. What's the answer on that?
Well, all I can say is this. When people don't understand something and people don't grasp something, they lash out against it. Like one time I was hanging out with Evan, and he had this Rubik's Cube, and he couldn't figure out how to line up the colors. He was like, "This is stupid," and he threw it across the room. I think that's correlation.
Yes.
Correlation.
I fully admit doing that. Even if I didn't do that and he just made that up, I probably would have.
I'm sure it was something less cool than a Rubik's Cube. It might have been a birthday card, but that's a different story altogether.
Well, I will say this, that story kind of reminds me of one relating to Ryan with him and Super Breakout.
Yes.
On the PlayStation. Playing Super Breakout. And the irony behind it is that he starts playing it, he starts getting so angry at it, he goes over and punches his PlayStation and breaks it. So maybe it's the same thing. Like, he didn't really understand the game. He didn't grasp the full concept. So he just lashed out at the PlayStation in the game. You know. And what happens when you lash out? You hurt the ones you love. And he loved that PlayStation.
Tough love, apparently.
All right. Well, I think those are the stories we're going to talk about for today. But Evan was going to come up with a question to ask us. But Evan's a fucking idiot.
Let me explain. Okay, I was at work. And
wait, hold on. Everybody, remember, you go to Evan's Facebook page, and whenever you post anything positive, you say, "Evan Jones, you're a piece of shit." Okay, continue, Evan.
Make sure you use 3 S's to accentuate the S's that Kyle just said.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, so I was on the phone talking to a customer at my undisclosed job, and they told me something, and I said, "God damn it, that's awesome, I can use that for a question." And then he asked me some other question that came out of left field, and I totally fucking forgot what it was. And I spent all night last night trying to remember it while I was playing a fucking show in Columbus and driving back and forth. I was like, what's the fucking question? I gotta do this tomorrow. So I did have a question, I'm just too stupid to remember it. Please carry on.
Fair enough. So, I came up with a question to ask of Mr. Jones and Mondo, or Bruiser Bradswell, if you will. So, for some reason, don't ask me how or why.
How or why?
I don't know. But for some reason, you're granted the ability to remove one state from the United States. It's no longer part of the country. It's out. It doesn't have anything to do with this. Which one would you choose, and why would you choose it?
Fuck, man, that's hard.
That's what she said.
Ba-doom. Good one. I'm gonna let Mondo answer this one first. I have to think.
If I were to have the ability to eliminate one state in the United States, I would eliminate the so-called state of Euphoria. Because I fucking hate fucking hippies. I'm tired of fucking hippies and their fucking hippie fucking lettuce. And just fucking laying around, not doing shit, not being working class or retail class like myself, and wasting their life, dedicating their life to living in the state of Euphoria. And that is complete bullshit. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now.
I was going to say, well, you kind of took that in a way I wasn't expecting. I was actually referring to one of the states like, Georgia or Alabama, but fair enough. But that reminds me of something that happened to me tonight.
Hey, let's hear that.
Well, so I stepped inside of a place to eat with a friend in downtown Athens. And we were in there for maybe about an hour and a half. We had a few drinks, ate. When we went in, there's nothing going on. When we step outside, there's suddenly a stage in the middle of the street with a hippie band playing, and it's an anti-war protest. Literally out of nowhere, and an hour and a half got set up and blocked off this street. And I was like, I've never seen hippies move that fast. I mean, I didn't know they could move that fast. But I
See,
knew it was hippies the moment I stepped out the door because I could smell the patchouli.
But hey, you've been quit making fun of my cologne. No, seriously though, they got the idea wrong. I'm not going to go off on a rant here, but I will say this: don't have an anti-war rally, have a pro-peace rally. That's all I'm saying. But now, if I may, I would like to answer that question.
Okay.
I would remove the state of Alaska.
Why?
Shit, you didn't tell me I needed to explain it. Because ice caves are an endangered species. I come from a land where ice caves are plentiful, and my founding fathers are those of the ice giants. It's hard to see these days, but trust me on this. I am straight edge. That being said, if I could put a mattress on a floor and a fucking Flash Foods for the beer cooler to live there, I would do it. So let's take back, this is the hippie in me coming about, let's take back Alaska to its natural heritage. Let's remove it from the United States of enslavement, the United States of obliteration, and take back the natural freedom to which it has come from. That's all I got to say.
That was very moving, actually.
Thank you. I said that while I was sitting down. No movement at all.
Okay.
And in all seriousness, if there was one state in the United States I could get rid of, it would probably most likely be Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia, Little New York. Atlanta. If you guys have never been to Atlanta, you're missing out. Atlanta's unlike any place you'll ever go, ever, because you'll enter Atlanta feeling good about yourself. Then as soon as you interact with somebody from Atlanta, you'll feel like a complete piece of shit because they're better than you.
They are pretty hip.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that Atlanta's a city and not a state. But
Hi, we're from Georgia, all right? Shit.
but I will agree with you because it never fails whenever I go to Atlanta. There's always some kind of fucking problem. Like, I went to Atlanta last weekend. I went up there for the Braves game. And it's Sunday morning. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm driving into Atlanta. And they've closed 3 lanes of traffic on I-85 for construction. First off, I'm like, why the fuck are you doing construction at 11 a.m. on a Sunday on I-85 when everybody's traveling? Okay? So basically, a 2-mile drive turns into like a 20-minute drive. When we get to the end of where the supposed construction was, no construction, just cones in the fucking road. If hate beams could have come out of my eyes at that moment, I could have obliterated the entire city of fucking Atlanta. I was so angry.
I guess you could say that put you in a pretty pissed off state.
Oh!
Indeed it did.
Now, Kyle, I know that we're running low on time, so why don't you tell the listeners what your answer is?
Well, if I had to choose a state, it would be Texas.
Don't hit Mondo. Please don't hit him. Don't punch him through the computer.
Now I have a reason behind it. They could come back eventually. But Texas always talks about how they like to secede from the Union and how they have the ability to do it and all this bullshit. I would like to let Texas go and let them be their own country for a short time. And after they've become overrun by Mexico and they're nothing but Mexicans everywhere, then they could come back to us and we'll be like, we fucking told you so. And we'll let them back in with open arms.
Dude,
so
that
it's
would
kind
be
of
awesome.
It's kind of like you just kind of like give them what they want, show them they don't really know what they want, and then let them back with a big smug smile on your face just the entire time knowing that you were right and they were wrong.
Dude, Terry Funk would be so happy with all those luchadors to hang out with.
That'd be awesome though. Maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing, all the luchadors.
I think it's awesome. Mondo, any closing thoughts on Texas?
You know what? I have never been to Texas, but I love Texas so much because they have awesome cowboy boots and huge steaks, and probably 85% of my heroes come from Texas, mostly being wrestlers.
Is there a large wrestling contingent from Texas?
Oh, yeah. And most of them came out of West Texas State College. Ted DiBiase, Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, Tully Blanchard, who was part of the Four Horsemen.
Were they like I guess like we call it Greco-Roman style wrestlers, and they took up professional wrestling?
Some of them did collegiate wrestling, but most of them were just football players that became wrestlers. But then you have other people like Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk and Tully Blanchard and Ted DiBiase, for that matter, that were second-generation wrestlers. Their folks wrestled. So
Interesting. Well, if we'd let Texas leave, then there'd be a lot of luchadors that came out of there, so you could still keep your love for Texas and the wrestlers alive.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It'd be also if they made Texas like an island. That would be the place to go. People wouldn't go to the Bahamas or the Caymans or whatever they're called, or Cozumel. Dude, we're getting on a boat and we're going to Texas.
But Texas
Doesn't
is
that sound
landlocked.
fun? That doesn't sound fun. That sounds fun to me. Hey, what are you doing after graduation? Shit, man. We're going to go get toasted in Texas. You know what I'm saying? We're going to hop on this boat and we're going to Texas.
But Texas is a landlocked state. You couldn't be an island.
Well, I mean, if you took it away from the U.S., it could be an island.
If you
could
physically
remove-
took it.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Fair enough. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that, man. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's podcast. So if you have any questions you'd like us to ask, or you have stories that you see that you would like us to talk about, you can email them to us at theoffenderspodcast@gmail.com. So it's just offenderspodcast@gmail.com. All right. And Evan, do you have a way that people can follow you if they want to?
Yes, facebook.com/thetengu Ninja. TheTenguNinja. How about you, Mondo?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, facebook.com, Bruiser Braswell. Also, I have a new band called Tate Fist. It's facebook.com. I think it's CMD1313. Just looked up Tate Fist. And also play with Evan and Sugar Virus, but who cares?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so basically listen to Tate Fist, but don't listen to Sugar Virus. Is that what you're telling us?
We got some good things coming up. And
Right.
I have to copy you just a little bit from your last podcast. You can follow me on Twitter, but I don't ever use it. Twitter, Bruiser Braswell.
All right. Well, I'll put links to everybody's stuff in there in the notes. And you can follow me on Twitter at Zombie Jesus Here. That's here HERE. So I can clarify, since there's some discrepancies with that last week, Evan.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Catch you later. Peace.
Peace.